Bill of Rights, every one of which did nothing to restrict citizens, every one of which did something to restrict government to protect the citizens from their own government. And if you don't believe that, go back and read every one of the 10 amendments we call the Bill of Rights. Every one of them restricted government, not people. The 10th Amendment was especially important because it made it very clear that if there was not something expressly defined in the United States Constitution, it was to be left to the states and ultimately to the local governments. I still believe that. I believe mothers and fathers raise better kids than governments do. I believe that our country should never apologize for being strong, and that our strength comes from having the kind of military that nobody ever wants to take on because they know they can't ever have a chance of beating us. I think that's important for us as conservatives to maintain those. I'm pro-life. Those are important values to me. But what I wanted to say to you tonight is that while I'm unapologetically a person who is right of center, not left, I also believe that many times we forget that those voters that ultimately tip the election one way or another are not necessarily horizontal in the way they vote. And that is, they don't vote left, right, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican. They vote up, they vote down. They vote vertically, not horizontally. What they want to know is, if we get elected, will we take things up or will we take things down? Republicans did not get in trouble because we were too far to the right. And for all those people who say that we need to abandon these conservative principles of lower taxes and less government and more local government, I would suggest they are not wrong, they are dead wrong. Because if you look at every election cycle in which Republicans actually stood for what Republicans historically stand for, we win elections when we stand by those things and then govern accordingly. We lose elections when we try to be all things to all people, which nobody can be. But the ultimate test is not whether or not we espouse a pure political ideology, but whether or not that when we are elected, we govern effectively. And the issue is this: Republicans are not in trouble because they're conservative. They're in trouble because they showed a level of incompetence when their national spending was no different than that of the Democrats. When we got into our troubles by spending too much money and borrowing more than we could afford to pay back, we started this nonsense of saying, let's let the government bail out private industry. I suggest that one of the biggest mistakes in the Republican Party at Washington was the pushing of what's called the TARP bill. I thought it was misnamed. TARP was the wrong name. It should have been called the Congressional Relief Action Program. Some of you are just now thinking about that, and you're laughing. Others of you are thinking about that, and you're not. My point is, when Republicans govern effectively, and education gets better, and the roads get better, and when healthcare gets better, and our borders get more secure, and our world gets safer, people really don't care as much whether we're left or right. They care that we've taken the not down. And if we really want to rebrand and rebuild the Republican Party, the most important thing is to start talking about those policies which will affect the lives of American citizens and take them up, not down. And I would suggest that while we're having this health care debate, we need to be talking about that the real issue in health care in this country is not health care, but health. Today, in every state in this country, it costs more money to put a person in prison for 1 year than it would to put that same person in college in a 4-year university and pay for his tuition, room and board, books, and give him spending money. And yet we see more people going to prison than we've ever seen. The prison doors can't hold all of them. We have only exacerbated the problems we have. I've often said that the healthcare system in America is a whole lot like an NFL football game on a Sunday afternoon. 22 people down on the field in desperate need of rest. 70,000 people up in the stands in desperate need of exercise. That is a picture of what's wrong with you. And we're never going to fix this until we start addressing it. John, good to see you. I'm Rob. Hey, Rob.